The Vietnam conflict was still in its beginning stages. The war of attrition had intensified for both factions. The North Vietnamese Army, boosted by earlier victories that year, worked alongside guerrilla fighters known as the Viet Cong to move southward and penetrate U.S. and South Vietnamese strongholds. On the night of December 23rd, U.S. Allied troops in the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, or ARVN, were posted at the Tran Yen outpost along the Mekong River Delta. The soldiers sensed an imminent guerrilla assault from the Viet Cong but felt powerless to prevent it. The local guerrilla forces were closing in. ARVN commanders had contacted a nearby U.S. Air Force base seeking aerial support. The tension was palpable. The guerrillas were familiar with this routine and knew they merely had to retreat into the surrounding jungles and fields, then wait for the aircraft to expend their ammunition. Eventually, the U.S. planes would assume the enemy had been neutralized or retreated and would withdraw. Then the guerrillas would reappear from hiding and renew their attack. However, that night was unlike any other for the Viet Cong. Bright streaks of red fire tore through the sky like glowing, thrashing tongues, descending as a heavy electric blanket in all directions. A formidable new weapon had revealed itself that night, the Douglas AC-47. The glowing red tracers of its ammunition earned it the nickname the Gunship among the ARVN forces. Remarkably, the devastating red barrage that so effectively suppressed the Viet Cong that evening came from a modified World War II cargo plane. The secret was in its innovative modifications and efficient wartime production process, which underpinned the AC-47's lasting success. In service since 1941, U.S. Air Force engineers envisioned transforming the C-47 into a close air support aircraft, capable of delivering rapid and heavy firepower backup to troops on the ground. Thus, the AC-47 became the pioneer of its kind, a side-firing, ground-controlled gunship. The pilot could switch easily to fire all three miniguns simultaneously or operate each independently for versatile offensive maneuvers. Side-firing gunships were not a novel concept, but for years the military resisted adopting them. It took the persistence of a military officer and an engineer from Bell Aero Systems to realize the gunship vision. That military man was First Lieutenant Gilmore C. McDonald, and the engineer was Ralph Flexman. McDonald had long championed a side-firing ground support plane, and Flexman immediately knew he could build it. In April 1963, McDonald and Flexman enlisted Air Force Captain John C. Simons to join their efforts. Despite initial resistance within the Air Force, the project eventually gained traction. It was called Project Tail Chaser. Project Tail Chaser was unofficially approved by the Air Force under Captain Simons' supervision. Captain Ron Terry, a seasoned fighter pilot with combat experience in Vietnam, soon joined to push the project forward. Drawing on first-hand knowledge, Terry identified a gap. Only U.S. flare ships like the C-123 and C-47 would circle overhead, dropping illuminating flares to deter stealth assaults. Terry and Simons modified a twin-engine C-131 trainer and discovered that by flying steady, rounded turns, the plane could keep its side guns locked on a ground target fairly steadily. Terry secured approval for live fire trials at Edwin Air Force Base, even funding extra hardware costs personally as the program lacked official Air Force funding. Tests conducted at Eglin in Florida and target ranges in the Gulf of Mexico were overwhelmingly successful, turning skeptics into believers. Next, the team was given a C-47 Skytrain for tests. This slow, sturdy cargo plane was ideal for modifications. Its ability to hover overhead for extended periods and the ample cargo space for extra ammunition and flares made it perfect. Furthermore, every fifth bullet was a bright red tracer, creating a spectacular effect when the three guns fired rapidly, a crimson rain that lit up the battlefield while raining heavy fire. On December 2, 1964, Terry's team, now Project Gunship, arrived at Tan Son Nut Base in South Vietnam, equipment and plans in tow to convert two C-47s. They immediately encountered resistance from Air Force brass, who ordered them not to unpack or communicate, threatening to send them back to the U.S. A four-star general had expressed official disapproval, believing the project contradicted Air Force doctrine. But Vice Chief of Staff John P. McConnell intervened, stating that no weapon-enhancing operational capability could be dismissed. The first modified C-47 was ready by December 11th, the second by December 15th. Nicknamed AC-47, attack cargo, the aircraft earned the radio call sign PUFF for PUFF, the Magic Dragon. The appearance of an AC-47 at Tran Yen on December 23rd marked the gunship's first major combat success.